Depart. You are not my daughter. My father's comments reverberated through our marble. In the foyer, his face twisted with rage. I stood there, having never witnessed anything like it before, grasping my laptop bag while observing. Sarah, his new wife of 6 months, smirked. My name is Alexander Pierce. At the age of 18, I was expelled from the childhood residence of the individual who once vowed to consistently safeguard me in the same manner. The individual who instructed me in bicycle riding. I wept during my middle school graduation. Supported me throughout my mother's burial barely 3 years ago. I implored my father in a whisper. My voice is trembling. This is my home as well, mother. Do not mention your mother. Sarah interrupted with her impeccably groomed, grasping my father's arm. James. She has consistently exhibited rude behavior since our nuptials, consistently referencing the before interrogating our choices regarding the improvements of the family-owned residence, intended to eliminate all the trace of my mother from our residence was absent. A renovation that is displacing me. Pierce Technology is the company I represent. The enterprise established by the parents was not a commercial venture. Determination, yet the words remained lodged in my throat when observing my father acquiesce. With each venomous utterance Sarah articulated. Your mother has passed away, Alexandra, he stated. Your demeanor is frigid. It is time you acknowledged that. Circumstances evolve. Sarah is correct. You have been unbearable to coexist with if one is unable. Honor my new spouse and our choices. Consequently, you must depart. I surveyed my surroundings. The foyer is scarcely recognizable now. The lovely golden walls possessed by my mother, beloved, were now a striking white hue. Compilation of familial photographs supplanted by the modern artwork selected by Sarah. The venerable oak table where mother used to assistance with my schoolwork was absent, supplanted by a simple console that appeared as though it was suited for a museum. With my spine straightened, I declared that I would proceed. However, please retain this moment, Dad. Remember it. You selected her in preference to your own daughter. Sarah's victorious smile caused a sensation in my gut. James, my dear, we ought to modify the security codes and potentially contact her attorney regarding her termination from the organization. My father did not even glance at me. He nodded, signaling that Alexandra had already finished it. You have 1 hour to pack your belongings. Any items left behind will be donated. Up the staircase to my bedroom each. Each step feels increasingly burdensome. The room was among the limited areas available to Sarah. Had not yet undergone modernization, although I had heard their deliberations over its transformation into a. I retrieved my baggage from Yoba Studio. Commenced packing beneath the bed. Methodically, clothing is essential for documentation. The jewelry of my mother that I concealed in the false bottom of my desk drawer as While I was packing, my phone vibrated with a message from Marcus, my closest companion since kindergarten. How severe was the situation? Do you require my presence? I informed him about the ultimatum. I am Sarah, and I spoke with my father last night. Either I depart or she will. I never anticipated this. It's clear that her father would choose her. I inquired whether I might stay at your residence. For several days, his response was promptly arranging the guest. The room mother is preparing your preferred lasagna. At least someone still exhibited concern. I accepted one. My final examination of the room concludes with my gaze settling. In the photograph on my nightstand, there are my parents. My 16th birthday celebration with everyone there, guffawing while attempting to extinguish the ruse. Candles that continually reignited were observed. Previously, I had profound happiness and a sense of completeness. Mother's cancer diagnosis prior to the therapies that depleted our optimism. Using her strength prior to Sarah's swoop. To console my sad father, a knock. Your hours at my door startled me. Sarah called, nearly disregarding the situation. Concealed the gratification in her voice. Seized my suitcase and laptop bag. Casting a final glance at my youth. The business plan was situated on my desk in the bedroom. I have been working on my project for months. Vision for the modernization of Pierce Technology. The software section that my father had not even examined. At my attempt to demonstrate it to him last week. Sarah believes we should remain focused on hardware. He stated dismissively, fine, if they did not desire my concepts, I would construct anything. Marcus was waiting outside. It was a Corolla when I exited. I did not glance back while I packed my suitcase. Did not acknowledge Sarah in his trunk. Observing from the window did not provide my father derived satisfaction from witnessing my tears. Are you all right? Marcus inquired as we departed. From the residence I regarded as home for 18 years passed before I ultimately surrendered to the tears descend. Nevertheless, I shall remain that night. Reclining on the Murphy bed in Marcus's residence, I opened my laptop in the family's guest room and retrieved my main business plan. The concept was robust, a platform that would transform the operations of small enterprises, manage their cybersecurity requirements. Pierce Technologies has consistently concentrated regarding substantial business clients disregarding the substantial unexploited market of smaller firms that could not afford enterprise standard. I devised solutions throughout the night, driven by a blend of rage. Mrs. Chen's remarkable determination. By dawn, I had completed my registration. The company Phoenix Security Solutions. I did not overlook the irony of the moniker, emerging from the remnants of my former existence to construct something novel in the forthcoming months. Constituted a haze of part-time couch surfing, employment, and interminable programming sessions. I self-taught programming at the age of 13. The future is my mother's delight. Digital confectionery, she stated, purchasing for me my initial laptop is a constant source of learning. Marcus permitted me to utilize his family's, using the garage as my office while I was not present, fulfilling my barista duties at the local establishment. Ellen, his mother, provided me with sustenance in the coffee shop and declined to accept rental payment, stating, I was required to consolidate all my belongings into your mother was my closest friend. She informed me one evening while seeing me work. She would be exceedingly proud of you, Alexandra. Experiencing anger towards your father 6 months later. Upon getting expelled, I initiated the beta version of my security software. It was not flawless, but it functioned as intended. I created it to be sufficiently straightforward for minor business proprietors to comprehend, however, adequately advanced to deliver genuine protection for the coffee establishment where I secured my initial client. Information disseminates rapidly in our small community. The flower shop adjacent to the business district. The door was signed, followed by the bookstore across the street. Each new client assisted me on the street. Enhanced the software to improve its quality further. User-friendly 1 year following my father's passing. Expelled me from Phoenix Security Solutions. Possessed 50 clients and was generating a modest. I relocated to my own compact residence. Flat, although I still dined with. The opportunity to see my father twice weekly. Just one time within that initial year he was departing from a high-end restaurant with Sarah and her companion dressed appropriately for the occasion. Likely another charitable gala I attended. Commencing my evening shift at the coffee establishment adorned in my barista apron. Comfy footwear, our gazes connected for a fleeting instant prior to averting his gaze. Escorting Sarah to their awaiting Tesla. That evening, I incorporated a new function into my advanced anti-theft software system that could have averted the specific form of corporate espionage that cost Pierce Technology millions. In the previous quarter, I reviewed their security violation in the technology blogs observing the stock price had a decline. A portion of me desired it to contact them and demonstrate what they would. Excluded by distancing me, however, the more robust aspect recognized my necessity to concentrate on my personal trajectory. Phoenix was accelerating rapidly. Then I could manage independently. I required assistance to engage assistants to broaden our services. Marcus, who he recently completed his business degree and joined as my chief financial officer. Someone must manage the revenue generation while engaged in technology. Genius, he remarked with a smile 2 years later. Receiving direct messages from Phoenix Security Solutions. Employed 20 individuals and maintained offices in transformed downtown warehouse for our client. The list had expanded to more than 500 enterprises. The software was implemented across 3 states, developed into an all-encompassing security. Suites with enhanced features are more spacious. Competitors hastily endeavored to replicate. Meeting with prospective investors when I received a news alert on my phone. Pierce Technologies announces workforce reductions. Decreasing revenue referenced in the article. Obsolete products' inability to adapt to market fluctuations and escalation. Competition from more innovative newcomers. Companies that evening when I worked late. In my office, my phone rang within. I nearly refrained from answering an unidentified number. However, something compelled me to contact Alexandra. It was my father's executive aide. Linda had worked with the organization since. As a child, I recognized that I ought not to be contacting you, but the situation here is dire, Sarah. Persuaded your father to divest the board is solely composed of the software division. In the midst of chaos, I felt it was important to inform you. I expressed my gratitude to her for the information subsequently. Remained silent for an extended period, gazing at the framed photograph on my desk, mother, and my presence at her workplace at Pierce Technologies. Both of us smiled as I sat next to her, chair feigning authority. I whispered to the space mom, I am just a mere mortal. Commencing the following morning, I convened an emergency meeting with the executive team requires additional resources. I mentioned numerous additional servers. It is time for Phoenix to unfurl its wings thrice. Years of operating Phoenix security. I received an invitation that caused my heart to cease tech innovation. Nominee for the Rising Star category of awards, the firm was acknowledged as one of the most rapidly expanding cybersecurity companies in the nation. The irony was not lost on. The awards ceremony will take place at the identical hotel where Pierce Technologies celebrated its 20th anniversary. The most recent event I attended with both my prior to mother's illness, parental involvement is essential. Marcus persisted on going, waiving the offer. My face is enormous. Alex national recognition, which he supplemented with a sly remark. Pierce Technologies consistently participates. During these activities, I adjusted my blazer, contemplating my reflection in my workplace. At the age of 21, I was managing a corporation worth at nearly $50 million. The frightened, the adolescent whom my father had expelled was replaced by a more formidable individual. I resolved to book the tickets. On the evening of the event, I selected my attire. Meticulously crafted a black designer suit that anticipated assurance and achievement combined. My mother's sapphire pendant, hair that Sarah had consistently disparaged as excessively untamed, was fashioned in refined curls. The hotel ballroom was filled with technology. I observed my father in the industrial light, and Sarah were almost immediately positioned in the front, as is appropriate for one among the oldest companies in the industry. Although not at the principal table, they would. Engaged in prior years, I was directed to a table with additional nominees, clearly conscious of the whispers pursuing me at 21. I was the youngest nominee at a ceremony. The historical truth of my identity as a woman in a male-dominated sector merely contributed to the intrigue and the announcers. The announcement resonated for the Rising Star Award, acknowledging innovation and excellence. I perceived expansion in the IT sector. The burden of numerous gazes as the company's logo was shown on the enormous displays, the advertising video, demonstrating Phoenix's innovative methodology to the cybersecurity of small businesses. The victor is Phoenix Security Solutions. Established by Alexander Pierce. The acclaim was resounding as I approached the stage. I briefly observed my father's visage. Shock, acknowledgement, and an additional element. I was unable to fully comprehend Sarah's writing. The controlled smile had entirely vanished. Thank you. I commenced my speech with my voice consistent since I started Phoenix 3 years ago. Previously, I possessed only a laptop and a aspiration, although I possessed something more. The invaluable teachings imparted by my mother concerning innovation, resolve, and perseverance. Permitting others to evaluate your value, I observed. My father recoils at the mention of my mother. To each proprietor of a small enterprise we appreciate your trust in us regarding your security. To my exceptional team who place their trust in. Our vision expresses gratitude to all who contribute. I stated that I was unable to accomplish it. I hesitated, permitting. I offer myself a slight smile in gratitude, providing me with the impetus to demonstrate my capabilities to you. The after-party was a haze of congratulations on your business. Potential investors circled the cards like sharks keen to participate in Phoenix's upcoming venture. I managed each funding round. Dialogue with the poised mother. With the business acumen I possessed, inherited from both of my parents, is clear. In every syllable, I sought Alexandra. My father stands there, becoming more aged than I recalled. Sarah was remarkably. He stated his congrats in a rigid manner, notwithstanding their absence. Your company is impressive, thank you. Responded while maintaining my professional tone. I must excuse myself. I see some investors. He reached for my arm while waiting. Halted abruptly. We ought to discuss. Everything I observed about him seems genuine. Observed him for the first time in 3 years. His hair had increased grayness, and his face displayed additional lines. Pierce's technological challenges were evident. Their impact has been significant. I have a board meeting tomorrow morning, I stated, but I am available for. My assistant will arrange lunch for next week. Contact yours with the details I provided. And departed with head held high, feeling lighter than I have been in years. Terrified adolescent who had been cast absent from her residence was her replacement. Stood a woman who had constructed something extraordinary, something her father also possessed. To recognize later that evening upon returning. I unlocked my penthouse apartment laptop and accessed Phoenix's latest acquisition report regarding our assertive strategy. Growth into the enterprise market was advancing ahead of plan within 6. In a few months, we will be direct competitors with Pierce Technologies in its primary market. My phone vibrated with a message from Marcus. You excelled tonight, boss. My mother would be immensely delighted that I made contact with the sapphire pendant around my neck evokes memories. My mother's comments from long ago. Success is not regarding the endeavor of disproving others, sweetheart. Concerning the validation of her own correctness, she was. As always, tonight was not about. It was about revenge or vindication. Commemorating her legacy through construction. Something significant, something that assisted others in safeguarding their creations. Access my email to discover numerous celebratory messages, including one from Linda, my father's executive assistant. Your mother consistently advised you. Transform the world eventually, she was correct. Attached was a photograph I had never encountered previously. Mother in her office cradling a small May. I played with her keyboard while she sat in her lap. We're both laughing and snared in a moment of sheer elation prompted me to erase tears I had not before acknowledged. I recognize that we will be falling tomorrow. Resuming the role of CEO of a rapidly in a burgeoning technology firm, I would make decisions, facilitate gatherings, and persist in development, transforming Phoenix into something remarkable, nonetheless. This evening, I permit myself to experience emotions, all of the anguish stemming from rejection, success, and bittersweet triumph, knowing that I have demonstrated my capability to. The cost had been my world. The inquiry on my relationship with my father. Could that connection be restored? And, more significantly, did I desire it to be? As I prepared for bed, my phone vibrated, accompanied by an additional message. This one originated from I apologize for everything, Father. When you're ready, I'd like to clarify my plans. The phone was placed down without a response. 3 years ago, those words would have signified. All that remains are mere words. He sought to mend our connection. He must substantiate it via deeds. The vista from my rooftop displayed the city skyline, including the Pierce Technologies constructing its luminous logo. In the evening, Phoenix is new. The headquarters would rise significantly higher. Monument to my progress thus far, although initially I held a luncheon meeting to prepare for Something indicated to me that it would be the most significant. The most significant meeting of my life. The lunch meeting with my father commenced. I selected Marcello sooner than anticipated. A high-end Italian restaurant where my mother would take me for important occasions. A few times, I sat at the corner table, could nearly perceive her laughter and visualize her gesticulating expressively while elucidating her father's most recent business concept. Arrived punctually, appearing uncomfortable in an unprecedented manner. Prior to the confident CEO, I recollected. Alexandra appeared to decrease in some manner. Expressed gratitude upon assuming his seat. I inquired about Sarah's location while agreeing to meet. Observing his unadorned ring finger, he recoiled. We have been separated for 6 months. She was displeased when Pierce Technology began to encounter difficulties when the board commenced interrogating her impact on corporate decisions. I swallowed a drink of water, allowing the knowledge to be absorbed. And now, you wish to converse. I merit that he does. I acknowledge that I have committed grave errors, Alexandra, the irredeemable observers are observing you. Acknowledge that accolade in light of all circumstances. Your construction has made me cognizant of how I have been blind. The waiter has arrived. Submit our orders. I selected my mother's favorite. My father ordered the same mushroom risotto. Amazing detail that did not escape my attention. Phoenix is exceptional, he persisted once again. We were alone. Your mother would be rather. I ought to have felt pride as well. Ought to have backed you rather than. Rather than expelling me, I completed my task. Rather than permitting your wife to eliminate all trace of mother from our residence instead of disregarding my concepts due to Sarah. Believing she possessed superior knowledge, he regarded her with disdain. Sarah caused me to reflect on my thoughts. Required to progress entirely that preserving your mother's memory was impeding our progress. I felt utterly disoriented following your mother passed away and Sarah appeared to possess everything. My mother's passing has also caused me pain. Stated softly that I required my father instead. I encountered an unfamiliar individual who selected his new spouse. Food arrived over his daughter. Neither of us interacted with it. The board remains untouched. Advocating for new leadership at Pierce Technologies, he stated, have finally been developed. Saw a decline in market share. Security software is just what we require. Required 3 years ago what you attempted to demonstrate to me what transpired before my expulsion. I have completed it. Is it the subject of this discussion? Having observed my success, you now desire. Which partner do I have with Phoenix? Preserve Pierce Technologies, he stated promptly, indeed. The board has proposed initiating contact regarding a possibility partnership. Nevertheless, that is not my reason. I desired to meet. Apologize in an attempt to elucidate, notwithstanding. There exists no elucidation that could. I rationalized my actions by stating that I researched him meticulously. The hubris dissipated. Substituted with an object resembling authentic contrition. Provide information regarding Sarah. Stated the actual narrative. He conveyed emphatically that she is engaged in an extramarital relationship with one of our significant stockholders, have been for a minimum of the year. Of all the changes she advocated for, the company helped him. Investments I failed to recognize. Putting the belongings of our house mother in storage, I acknowledged my inability after Sarah departed. Was unable to confront the consequences of her actions. Position your mother's collections there. I preserved all the photographs that evoke tears. Intimidating yet restrained them. The reason remains unclear. Did you not advocate for me when Sarah provided? Why did you select Ultima? He stated plainly that it was due to my cowardice. Confronting you necessitated confronting my sorrow. Your mother and Sarah facilitated the process. To feign that all was well. If we have recently commenced anew, I am now aware that I was not commencing anew. I was fleeing from my anguish stemming from my obligations, from the girl who prompted my recollection. I finally took a bite of much of her mother, of my risotto, allowing the recognizable flavors. Pierce Technologies was the foundation for my mother. I also stated that she would be a dream, devastated by the current state of affairs. I am aware he murmured that it is a component of. The reason I want to meet with the board is to discuss the voting process. Next week, I will assume new leadership responsibilities. As I step down as CEO, I would like to endorse you. For the post, I almost suffocated on my water, as demonstrated by Phoenix, is what you are. The board is already more than capable. Shown interest in a merger. Not a takeover by Phoenix Security would occur. Transform into a branch of Pierce Technologies. But with you in control of everything, I remained seated, astonished. You are earnest. It is entirely time for new talent. Your thoughts were correct 3 years ago. Required adaptation for innovation. Demonstrated your capability to accomplish that, and if I... He met my gaze resolutely, and then I will. I appreciate your decision. This is not my conditional apology, Alexandra. Regret with which they have no association. I have missed my kid due to business commitments. Witnessing your acceptance of that award. The remarkable woman you have become despite my failings in my role as a father, I merely desire a opportunity to re-enter your life. I gazed at him for an extended period. Moment of perceiving beyond the influential CEO. A widower could emerge beyond the grief. My father exhibited poor judgment. Human yet ultimately candid, I shall contemplate. I mentioned both aspects of the company, and the additional matters require time from him. Relief was evident on his face as he nodded. You have all the time you require. I am not departing any place at this moment as we concluded our. During lunch, he retrieved his phone and displayed it. My mother's belongings are in the images. Climate-controlled storage meticulously. Retained whatever actions you wish to undertake. The house is entirely yours, should you desire it. I desire it. Sarah has departed, and I have been. While residing in a hotel, it ought to be your own. Contemplated that residence regarding the. Perhaps I mentioned the memories it contained, but first. Provide information regarding Pierce Technology. Existing security protocols if I am proceeding. To evaluate this merger, I require information. Precisely what I am confronting regarding the. It was the first occasion in years that I encountered my father. Grin genuinely. Consistently the entrepreneur, he declared with pride. Similar to your mommy 1 month later. The pivotal luncheon at which I was present. Front of the Pierce Technologies board. Directors articulating my idea for the merging enterprises filled the space. With the identical executives who possessed. Rejected my proposals 3 years ago, today they attentively listened to every word of Phoenix Security. Solutions have transformed cybersecurity. I initiated security measures for small enterprises. Standing assured in my mother's vintage. Envision merging it in the boardroom. Innovation using Pierce Technology. Enterprise infrastructure we would not. We would merely be competing in the market. The presentation lasted 2 hours. Hours I delineated my strategies for. Modernization of restructuring. The expansion was not solely concerned with preservation. Pierce Technologies no longer pertains to producing something unparalleled in the. Any inquiries I posed regarding the industry. Finishing my presentation to the board. Chairman Mr. Harrison, who had known my mother, talked first, I believe, after 20 years. I represent the collective sentiment when I assert this is precisely what Pierce Technologies requires. The decision is unequivocal. Welcome back, CEO. The announcement of the merger was disseminated. Reverberations throughout the technology sector. Phoenix Rising, the story of Alexander Pierce, reclaimed her familial legacy. Business periodicals competed furiously for attention, for interviews aiming to convey the narrative of the daughter who has been ostracized. To return victorious, yet I possessed more critical aspects to prioritize throughout the merger. Was not solely concerned with commerce, it encompassed healing by honoring my mama, my legacy while constructing something new. The initial official action as CEO was to rename Pierce Phoenix Technologies. The amalgamation of both legacies resulted in the second. To return my mother's former office to its previous state, presenting her photographs and awards removed from storage she would possess. My father expressed his affection by assisting me display her preferred artwork, a phoenix, emerging from the flames that had motivated the company's name regarding the merger. The entirety of our relationship's modernity remained delicate, yet we were both. He had commenced therapy to address his sorrow for mother and his remorse about Sarah has begun sharing Sunday dinners, gradually restoring confidence with him through candid discussions on both enterprises and family. Marcus, our current CFO, observed the transformation with pride that you have. He proclaimed one evening that he had accomplished the impossible. As we examined the city from our new vantage point, headquarters, you have also preserved the family's enterprise was improved upon. Our merged company thrived. The small business section remains branded as Phoenix Security persisted in its expansion while our enterprise solutions augmented with Phoenix's cutting-edge technology has been restored. Market supremacy 6 months subsequent to I received an additional invitation regarding the merger. This occasion to provide the commencement address at my alma mater's business event. Standing at the platform in the school, I observed, among a multitude of eager faces, contemplated all that had transpired. Led me to this moment. Success is not. I informed them that a straight line is sometimes necessary. The most significant setbacks result in the most significant chances 3 years prior. I have lost everything, my home, my family, and my possessions. Inheritance, yet I possessed something greater. Valuable vision and determination. Lessons imparted by my mother regarding the concept of never. In the audience, I observed my resignation. Father wiping away tears. Today I sprint A. The corporation is valued at billions, although that is not what constitutes my successes. About adherence to your principles. Constructing something significant regarding transforming suffering into significance is occasionally necessary. Must relinquish all to ascertain what your capabilities warrant the acclaim received. Deafening, yet I scarcely perceived it with my eyes. Were affixed to the rear of the auditorium, where a colossal screen exhibited the mother's preferred quotation, the identical one that currently resided in the lobby of Pierce. Phoenix Technologies, rising from the ashes. Adversity begets the emergence of phoenixes within us. My greatest successes following the ceremony. My father approached me with a tiny package. I discovered this in your mother's possession. He spoke softly, intending to convey it to you upon your commencement with the company. Within was a leather-bound diary belonging to me. Mother's business ledger dated the first page she had composed for Alexandra, who will dismantle all that we have constructed and create. It soared even higher. Never permit anyone restrict your potential, my dear Phoenix. In the evening, I hosted a supper in our former residence, house that I have spent months repairing. The guests included its previous warmth. Marcus and his family are essential components of both the founding companies and my father. The family was once again displayed. Images, including recent ones of the merger. A toast to my father's success in the industry. Proposed to toast Alexandra. He imparted to me that genuine strength is not concerning the retention of authority, yet pertaining to possessing the discernment to recognize when to relinquish. Another individual guided my daughter, who not only salvaged our company, but also preserved. I surveyed my family around the table. These individuals who had become my extended family at the residence that was once more a residence belonging to my father, who was diligently laboring to regain his position in my life. I recognized that success possesses numerous definitions. Establishing a billion-dollar enterprise was one. Reconstructing fractured connections was benevolent. Subsequently, later that evening, solitary in I opened my mother's renovated garden notebook and started reading her words. Insight or affection emanated from each page. One passage notably captured my attention. Business encompasses more than mere profit. Alexandra, it pertains to legacy. Producing a legacy that endures beyond our existence. Regarding utilizing our triumph optimally to elevate others have always been my priority. The most significant legacy, my beloved, encompasses everything. All the rest is only details. I address though. The Phoenix pendant I consistently wore was a gift from the board to commemorate the merger. I smiled despite the lingering pain of rejection. I constructed something remarkable, not Not merely a prosperous enterprise, but a way of life, imbued with the intent of reconciliation. The merger garnered significant media attention. However, the true narrative was not centered on commerce. It was entirely about forgiving. Development of the significance of authenticity. Maintain self-belief despite external skepticism. It concerned a girl who experienced loss. Everything yet never lost her identity. Constructed her own wings while others attempted to clip them. Pierce Phoenix Technologies would persist in developing and advancing my father and I would persist in our reconstruction efforts. Our connection during a Sunday supper. The passage of time would mend the scars of the past. Prominent scars that served as reminders of how the distance we had traversed while seated in that garden. Upon perusing my mother's statements, I realized that success resided not in the goal but in the journey. In the journey, we discover strength. When we are evaluated on the wisdom we acquire from our shortcomings in love, survives even our most significant errors. The phoenix had ascended, and this was merely the commencement.